What if I told you that the advice to eat less and move more isn't just failing you, it has actually trapped you in a biological state called metabolic inflexibility? Think about it. You cut the calories, you endure the hunger, and yet, the moment you look at a carbohydrate, the weight rushes back. That is not a failure of willpower. That is a failure of biochemistry. Your body has physically forgotten how to burn its own fat. You are walking around carrying 50,000 to 100,000 calories of stored energy on your body, yet your cells are starving to death. To put it bluntly, you are freezing to death in a house made of firewood because you have forgotten how to light a match. We need to be very clear about the stakes here. This isn't just about stubborn belly fat. This is about preventing a metabolic prison that leads directly to chronic fatigue, severe brain fog, and eventually, a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. But here is the reality. Your body is already screaming at you that something is wrong. The clearest distress signal isn't on the scale. It is the 3 a.m. wake-up call. If you find yourself waking up suddenly, wide alert, between 2 and 4 in the morning with a racing heart, that is not insomnia. I repeat, that is not a sleep disorder. That is a biological panic alarm. Here is what is happening. Because your body is metabolically inflexible, it cannot access your fat stores for fuel while you sleep. So, when your blood sugar drops at 3 a.m., your brain thinks it is starving. It smashes the emergency glass and pumps your system full of adrenaline to release stored sugar. That adrenaline surge is what snaps your eyes open. It is a distress signal from a brain that is desperate for fuel because it cannot access the massive energy tank sitting right on your waistline. The question is no longer, how do I lose weight? The question is, how do I fix the broken switch? To answer that, we have to go deep inside your cells. To fix this, we need to stop looking at calories and start looking at chemistry. We need to decode the specific biological mechanism that controls your energy. We are going to shrink down to the microscopic level and look at the gatekeeper inside your cells. I want you to visualize your cells. Inside every single one of them, there is an energy furnace called the mitochondria. This is where your body takes fuel and turns it into energy, into vitality, into focus. But here is the catch. This furnace has a very specific entry door. That door is an enzyme called CPT1. If fuel cannot get through the CPT1 door, it cannot be burned. It is that simple. Now, here is the absolute biological rule that governs your weight and your energy, and it is the one thing most doctors fail to explain clearly. Insulin locks this door. Let's break down exactly how this happens step by step. When you eat carbohydrates or sugar, your blood glucose rises. Your pancreas releases insulin to deal with that sugar. That is normal. But when insulin is elevated, it triggers the production of a specific molecule called Malonyl-CoA. I want you to memorize that name, Malonyl-CoA. In our visual analogy, Malonyl-CoA is not just a chemical. Think of it as a heavy, rusted iron padlock. Let's play out the animation of a sugar burner, which is likely where you are right now. You wake up and eat a banana or a piece of toast. Your insulin spikes. Immediately, your body floods the cell with Malonyl-CoA. That rusted padlock slams onto the CPT1 door and locks it tight. Now, look at what happens to your body fat. Visualize your stored fat as high-octane yellow fuel canisters. These canisters are floating around in your bloodstream, desperate to get into the furnace to be burned. They rush toward the mitochondria, but bam! They bounce off the locked door. They physically cannot enter. So, what is the result? The fire inside the furnace dims. You feel sluggish. You feel tired. You have brain fog. Why? Because even though you have fuel floating all around the furnace, the door is locked. You are starving in the midst of plenty. And because your cells can't get the fat in, they scream for more sugar. So you get a craving, you eat a muffin, insulin spikes again, and the padlock gets tighter. It is a vicious cycle. Now, let's look at the metabolic switch. This is state B. When we lower your insulin levels by changing when and what you eat, the production of Malonyl-CoA stops. That rusted padlock? It begins to dissolve. Suddenly, the CPT-1 door swings wide open. Now, those yellow fuel canisters of body fat slide smoothly into the furnace without resistance. They ignite a bright, roaring blue flame. This is called beta-oxidation. This is true metabolic health. In this state, hunger disappears because your body is finally eating its own pantry. You have endless energy because you are tapping into a battery that has 100,000 calories in it. This mechanism is exactly why the standard nutritional advice has failed you. Think about the heart-healthy, low-fat yogurt you've been told to eat for breakfast. When food manufacturers remove the fat from yogurt, it tastes like cardboard. So, what do? They pump it full of sugar or artificial sweeteners. You eat it, thinking you are doing the right thing. But the moment that sugar hits your tongue, your insulin spikes. Malonyl-CoA floods the system. The CPT-1 door slams shut. You have literally just locked your fat-burning furnace for the next 4 to 6 hours. You are trapping yourself in sugar-burning mode, guaranteeing that you will be hungry, tired, and foggy by 10:30 a.m. We have to stop locking the door. We have to flush out the Malonyl-CoA. And the way we do that is by changing the first few hours of your day. So, how do we force that door open? How do we dissolve the Malonyl-CoA padlock so your cells can finally breathe? The guiding principle is simple, but you must follow it strictly. You have to protect the morning. When you wake up, your body is naturally flooded with cortisol. This is the stress hormone that wakes you up. Now, biologically, cortisol mobilizes sugar. If you take a body that is already high in cortisol, and you dump a bowl of oatmeal or a piece of toast on top of it, you are creating a metabolic explosion. You are spiking insulin right when your body is most sensitive to it. We need to keep insulin flat to keep that CPT-1 door open. Here is your exact 3-step protocol to make that happen. Step 1 is the 12-12 reset. This is the entry-level version of intermittent fasting, and it is non-negotiable. It is very simple. Stop eating at 8 p.m. tonight and wait until 8 a.m. tomorrow to eat again. Why 12 hours? Because that is roughly the time it takes for your body to deplete the glycogen, the sugar stored in your liver. Think of your liver as a small fuel tank and your body fat as a massive fuel tank. You cannot access the big tank until the small tank is empty. Give your body that 12-hour window to drain the sugar so it has to look for fat. Step 2 is the savory swap. I want you to look at your breakfast tomorrow. If it is sweet or if it is made of grains, throw it out. No oatmeal, no fruit smoothies, no toast, no cereal. You are going to switch to a savory breakfast only. The ideal meal is 3 eggs and half an avocado. Here is the science of why. When you eat protein and healthy fats first thing in the morning, you stimulate a hormone called CCK, cholecystokinin. CCK is a satiety hormone that tells your brain, I am full. But more importantly, this meal has a near zero impact on insulin. You are feeding your body nutrients without triggering the lock on the mitochondrial door. You stay in fat-burning mode, yet you feel completely satisfied. Step 3 is the fuel injection. This is the secret weapon for those of you dealing with brain fog. I want you to take your morning coffee or tea and add 1 teaspoon of C8-MCT oil. Now, you have to listen very closely to this part because the details matter. Do not just go buy coconut oil or generic MCT oil at the supermarket. Most coconut oil is made of a fatty acid called lauric acid, or C12. To your liver, C12 is just another fat. It takes a long time to digest. It's like putting a slow-burning log on a fire. You want caprylic acid, or C8. C8 is a rare, short-chain fat that does something magical. It bypasses digestion entirely. It goes straight from your stomach to your liver, and within minutes, the liver converts it directly into ketones. Ketones are a super fuel for your brain. If regular fat is a slow-burning log, C8 is lighter fluid. You pour it on and boom, your brain turns on. You get immediate mental clarity and you haven't spiked your insulin by a single point. You are literally jumping the line, feeding your brain high-octane fuel while keeping the fat-burning furnace roaring hot. Let's tackle the biggest myth standing in your way, the one that has likely kept you stuck in this metabolic prison for years. It is the advice that you must eat small, frequent meals to keep your metabolism revved up. I want you to erase that idea from your mind completely. That advice is scientifically flawed and metabolically disastrous. Here is why: every single time you put food in your mouth, even if it is a healthy snack, you trigger an insulin response. Remember our mechanic: insulin equals Malonyl-CoA. Malonyl-CoA equals a locked door. If you are eating 6 times a day, or grazing on almonds and protein bars between meals, you are keeping your insulin chronically elevated. You are keeping the CPT-1 door locked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You are never ever giving your body the quiet time it needs to lower insulin enough to unlock the fat stores. You are like a person trying to drain a swimming pool, but every 2 hours you walk over and turn the hose back on. The pool never drains. The fat never leaves. To burn fat, you need periods of not eating. You need silence in the system. Now, before you rush off to start this, I need to give you a very serious, very crucial medical warning. This is not a disclaimer I am reading just to be safe. This is physiology. If you are currently taking medication for high blood pressure, you must consult your doctor before starting this protocol. Here is the science. Insulin causes your kidneys to retain sodium and water. It makes you hold on to fluid. When you flip the switch, when you stop spiking insulin, your kidneys get the signal to dump that excess water. We call this the whoosh effect. You might lose 3 to 5 pounds of water weight in the first few days. That is great for your bloating, but it means your blood volume decreases and your blood pressure will naturally drop. If you are taking medication to artificially lower your pressure and your body naturally lowers it at the same time, you can bottom out. You could get dizzy, lightheaded, or faint. You need to work with your doctor to lower your medication as your metabolism heals. Do not ignore this. But for those of you ready to start, I want you to understand the power of what you are about to do. You are not broken. You are not destined to be overweight or tired forever. You are simply a hybrid car that has been running on the wrong tank. For years, you have been running on the gas engine, the sugar engine. It is small, it runs out of fuel quickly, and the exhaust is dirty. But you have a massive electric battery sitting right there, your body fat. It is clean energy. It is efficient. It is waiting to be used. You have spent your life thinking that fat on your body is a burden, a punishment for eating too much. I want you to reframe that. That fat is a battery pack. It is potential energy waiting to be unlocked. You now have the key. You know how the CPT-1 door works. You know how to dissolve the padlock. So here is my challenge to you. I am not asking you to change your entire life overnight. I am asking for 7 days. For the next 7 days, change nothing but your breakfast. Do not worry about lunch. Do not worry about dinner. Just protect the morning. Delay your first meal by 12 hours from last night's dinner. And when you do eat, make it 100% savory. Eggs, avocado, maybe some bacon. No sugar, no grains, no juice. I want to know exactly where you are starting from today. Be honest with me and with yourself. Are you a sugar burner or a fat burner right now? Scroll down to the comments and let me know. Do you wake up at 3 a.m. with that racing heart? Do you crash at 2 p.m.? Type sugar burner or fat burner in the comments. Let's see how many of us are ready to fix this engine together. I'll see you in the next video.